Imagine waking up tomorrow to a headline that sounds impossible. Every country on Earth is bankrupt. Governments frozen, banks panicking, people demanding answers. But here's the twist. This isn't a future crisis. It's the world we already live in. Because every nation on the planet, from the richest superpower to the smallest island state, is drowning in debt so massive that it no longer makes sense. The United States? Over 38 trillion. Japan? Nearly 9 trillion. Globally? More than 315 trillion, 3 times bigger than the entire world economy. But here's the question. No one asks, if everyone owes money, who exactly is the world in debt to? The answer is more unsettling than any conspiracy theory because it's real, documented, and hiding in plain sight. When you trace where the money actually ends up, when you follow the loans, the bonds, the interest, you uncover a system that wasn't created by accident. It was engineered, not by governments, not by voters, but by 4 men across 3 centuries, each of whom added a piece to a machine that now runs the world. Their names aren't secrets. Their actions are historical fact. And together, they built a financial structure that creates debt that never gets paid back, turns governments into permanent borrowers, transfers wealth upward forever, punishes default with global collapse. This is the real debt trap. Let me show you how it began. Before 1694, national debt worked like this. A king needed money, borrowed from wealthy merchants, repaid or defaulted. Life moved on. Simple, contained, temporary. Then came William Paterson, a Scottish merchant with more failed schemes than successes, until one idea changed the world. England was broke. War with France was draining the treasury. Traditional lenders refused to help. Paterson's solution? A loan that would never be repaid. In exchange, the government would pay interest forever. To manage it, he proposed a new institution, the Bank of England. This was the breakthrough. Government debt would no longer be temporary. It would be permanent, backed by taxes that would never end. The interest? Guaranteed, reliable, paid by the public. Debt wasn't a crisis anymore. It became a business model, and every major country copied it within decades. Enter Nathan Rothschild, one of history's most influential bankers. Before him, each country borrowed independently. Default was embarrassing, but survivable. Rothschild industrialized sovereign debt. He created international bond markets. He built a cross-border investment network. He made government debt tradable worldwide, and he turned information into power. When countries borrowed, the debt spread across nations like a web. Defaulting didn't hurt one lender anymore. It threatened everyone. Governments suddenly had no choice but to keep paying interest, even if they had to borrow more to do it. This was the birth of inescapable debt. By the early 1900s, the U.S. economy was growing, but its financial system was chaos. Then came the banking panic of 1907. Markets crashed, banks collapsed, confidence evaporated. One man stepped in, J.P. Morgan. He personally coordinated a private bailout, but he knew the next crisis would be bigger. So, in 1910, behind closed doors on Jekyll Island, Morgan and the most powerful bankers designed something new, the Federal Reserve, a central bank that didn't look like a central bank. Here's the key innovation. The Fed could create money to buy government debt, unlimited demand, unlimited borrowing, unlimited expansion. The debt system was now capable of growing forever. By the 1970s, many developing nations had borrowed heavily. Then came Paul Volcker, chairman of the Federal Reserve. To fight inflation, he raised interest rates to historic levels. The result? Countries like Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina could no longer pay their debts. This should have triggered global collapse. Instead, the IMF intervened. New loans to pay old loans, strict economic conditions, privatization, currency, devaluation, loss of sovereignty. Debt wasn't forgiven. It was restructured, rolled over, extended, and made permanent. Once you were in the system, you stayed in the system. Forever. Today, the U.S. issues trillions in debt institutions by it. Taxpayers fund the interest. Asset managers collect the profits. The cycle repeats indefinitely. Globally, every country owes money to institutions that owe money to other institutions that hold debt from other countries. It's circular, interconnected, unbreakable. If one major nation defaults, the whole structure shakes. If every nation paid off its debt, the money supply would collapse. Debt isn't a problem. Debt is the system. This system wasn't built overnight, it wasn't accidental, and it wasn't designed by governments. 4 men, in 4 eras, each added a pillar. Paterson, debt becomes permanent Rothschild, debt becomes global Morgan, debt becomes infinite Volcker, debt becomes inescapable. And now? Every government, every corporation, every household is part of the same machine. Debt isn't a crisis for those who own the system. It's an asset, a source of endless income, a structure that transfers wealth upward forever. If this changed the way you see government debt, and you want more hidden history they never teach in school, comment "Unlock Part 2" and I'll open the next chapter.